Hello, and welcome to Omicron Weaponry. Before the video begins, a disclaimer. This video is not intending to bash the game. There will be nitpicks. Overly fictionalized guns will not be included, unless necessary, and please feel free to correct us in the comments. Starting off with the M4A1, it isn't an M4A1 at all. Rather, it is a combination of various parts. It has a Daniel Defense RIS-2 handguard, 30-round Gen M3 PMAG, a VL-Tor BCM Gunfighter Mod-free charging handle, Knight's Armament Company microsights, and some assorted Mark 18 parts to make it resemble a Mark 18. Onto customization. The M16 barrel incorrectly has a step on it. Throughout most weapons of Modern Warfare 19, the M4A1 included, changing the caliber of the weapon does not change the barrel, receiver, nor the ejection port. Except for the 9x19mm conversion, which correctly changes the ejection port. And also, there isn't an auto-sear pin. We now come to the FN FAL. It bizarrely has an AK-style gas block. The DSA SA-58 16-inch barrel is depicted as 13 inches. The fire selection modes are also switched. No FAL variant has 5 heat shield vents, especially since this is clearly based off the polymer L1A1 handguard. The Modern Warfare 19 Scar H is particularly butchered. The weapon lacks the 3 vent holes, being replaced with one long slot. It has a fictional magazine release and incorrect iron sights. The top half of each circular sight is missing. Its side rails are also greatly dramaticized. Most confusingly, there doesn't seem to be any reason for these changes, considering that the weapon is properly labelled as a product of FN Herstal in-game, so why on earth did they change so much about it? Who knows? The Kilo 141, aka the HK433, is still a prototype as of 2021, and of the game's release in 2019. However, we're glad it was included, since it's a beautiful rifle and fits the setting. The FAMAS appears gas-operated for some reason. And no, the F1 FAMAS does not accept STANAG magazines. Just like the M4A1, the M13, aka the SIG MCX Virtus SBR, does not have an auto-sear pin. The Galil Ace has a low poly and non-functional select fire, not to mention no Galil Ace variant exists with this barrel length. The Odin somehow manages to fit 20 rounds into a 10-round magazine. 12.7 by 55mm rounds are mostly referred to as such. 12 by 55 is commonly known as a drill bit. Some variants of the AUG in-game lack a bolt release on the model. The AUG A3 should also have a NATO stock replacement to accept these AR-15 and M4 magazines. However, this would mean modelling a new stock entirely just to make it accurate to real life, which would be ridiculous. We'll give Infinity Ward the pass on this one. Onto the Uzi, which has been done dirty in this title. It lacks a grip safety, and the grip itself along with the handguard has a bizarre stippled texture. The Bison has 2 vent holes instead of 3, and the magazine is smoothed. The MP7's entire shape is very fictionalized, but we wouldn't call them mistakes. This funny boxy magazine doesn't exist, but it makes sense for this title. The third-person animation for the Striker 45's empty reload depicts the charging handle dropping back onto the locked open bolt after the last round. Literally unplayable. IW, please fix. Despite it being an incredibly ugly portrayal of the Chris Vector, it is also completely fictional, so it would be unfair to bash it too much. Except that it lacks a 2-burst option on the selector switch, despite it being an option in-game. The ISO, aka the BNT APC-9K Pro G, has a reciprocating charging handle, but the compact K variant does not have one in real life. Hilariously, the side-mounted grip for the Orion 12 is listed as an underbarrel attachment. Alright then. The player character is also an absolute unit for being able to hold 2 of the gigantic magazines effortlessly in one hand. The Jak-12, aka the AA-12, does not have a fire selector switch, and that fictional charging handle is an absolute sin. Rear sights on PKM top covers have to be integral, but in Modern Warfare 19, it is attached to a Picatinny rail. And onto my country's international disgrace, the SA-87, aka the L-86A1, lacks the rear grip. Infinity Ward also decided to just slap some rails to the bottom of the smooth handguard, but on the right side, they're applied properly. Unfortunately, Infinity Ward's attention to detail and gun mechanics falls flat when the L-86 continues to work and never jams, even after being smacked into a wall. We're sure this will be fixed in a future patch. Maybe get HK to look at it. The MG5's different magazine attachments in the form of differing boxes are all the same size, yet hold different amounts of ammunition, similar to the atrocious customization in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. However, at least this makes more sense than a 12-round Python revolver. The player character operates the bolt of the M91 on every reload. The MG34 is a downwards ejecting firearm, not right ejecting. Strangely, the MG34's non-disintegrating ammo belt is not depicted here, whereas the PKM's is. The MG36 and G36 were turned into the almost entirely fictionalized Holger 26. The mag release paddle was turned into an AR-15 release button, and the brass deflector has been removed. A classic born and bred, the K98K will always be reloaded with 3 rounds during a tactical reload, regardless of how many rounds you fire. The SKS, aka the Zastava M5966 SKS, uses detachable magazines. Whilst not inaccurate, magazine-loaded SKSs are not as widely spread as their stripper clip-fed counterparts. In another bizarre decision, only Western suppressors can be used on it, even though the game has plenty of Russian counterparts. No, this is not how these rounds function in real life, but it is for gameplay purposes, so we can give it a pass. The Riot Shield was planned to have a built-in flash, hinted by the 3600 mAh battery pack. A dev confirmed this on Twitter. Onto the X16, aka the Glock. The SINCARD Arms featherweight slide does not have a slide cut, meaning the slide stop would not function at all. The slide stop should be here. Yet, due to the psychic powers that all Call of Duty players have, it works regardless. The Urban Defiler blueprint for the X16 has a cut, but the slide stop doesn't function. And honestly, who knows what this empty pinhole is for? Daddy's Classic, the 1911, sports a chromed ejection port, but the barrel is black and steel, which is odd but not impossible to have at the same time. This ammunition for the revolver can't choose what it wants to be. Snake shot or buckshot? And of course, somehow you can suppress it in the campaign mission Embedded. Onto the launchers. The PILA, aka the SA-25, shouldn't be able to fire without locking onto a target because of its man-pad system. In this case, the man-pads should be able to shoot down enemy rockets. It's a similar case with the Joker, aka the FGM-148 Javelin, which almost certainly lives in a society, because it can lock onto the ground, something impossible in real life. This Claymore has been paralysed, and for some reason, the heartbeat sensor has an upside-down VGA port. And that's everything we could find. Please correct us or give us further information in the comments, along with suggestions for any other games we could cover. See you next time.